Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and I have a quick little Easter card to share with you today. Hey, so I am using a bunch of Jaded Blossom stuff. I'm using the Excellent stamp set, spring banner dies, spring dies, stitch square dies. I'm also bringing in some other stuff later on in the video from Jaded Blossom. And I'm using this adorable Easter gnome from Dorky Prints N Doodles. I'm using a paper line from We Are Memory Keepers called Madame Royale. It's an oldie, but you know, just pastel colors, kind of distressed looking, kind of went with what I'm working with. So I went ahead and I cut out the eggs using the spring dies and the spring banner dies. And I chose some Distress Oxide inks from my swatch pad. And I'm going to ink up the edges of these adorable eggs. There we go. I'm just going to ink them all up, just to give them a little bit of definition. I'm starting out with Distress ink crushed olive, and I'm inking up all the edges of everything green. So that is the grass dye from the spring dies, and then the eggs are also from the spring dies, and like I said, the spring banner dies. So I'm just inking up the edges with the, oldie but goodie Ranger blending foam. And I'm going to pull out the mesh stencil from Jaded Blossom. Like I said, I'll be bringing out some stencils and some other stuff, like I said, later on in the video from Jaded Blossom. And I'm going to just apply some pattern with my Distress ink. Now, nothing special. I'm just adding a little something to these eggs because it's plain, basically solid distressed kind of looking paper. So I thought I might as well add a pattern. So now I'm pulling out the Victorian Velvet, and I'm going to ink up the pink and purple eggs with these, with this color. It just seemed to go with both. It was just a little bit darker, so I just thought it was a good look. And I never use Victorian Velvet. It was kind of like, oh, look at that, Victorian Velvet. I never pull that out. So there we are. So now I'm going to add some random heart stencils to these ones. And you'll see what I do here, kind of mess it up, but it doesn't matter. I fix it in the end. And I decide that, I really should be using my Wendy Vecchi Make Art station, but I just wanted to blend on the back of these eggs, and I didn't want to bring out the whole station for that. So I'm just going to grab some Post-it tape and stick these eggs to the back of my stencil, and that seemed to work pretty well. There we go. And I've just got to fix up that one with a boo-boo. Now it's going to be mostly hidden anyway, I figure, but I thought maybe you can line up the stencil, but I had no patience for that. So it's like, nope, I'm just going to choose one and go with it. So that's what I do. Because that's kind of what I do. When I kind of have a card idea in my mind, and I try not to let little mistakes stop me from finishing what I have going in my head. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm grabbing that mesh stencil again, and I'm going to add a little bit more pattern now to the orange egg using the spiced marmalade. And, all the inks that I used today, I used, Victorian Velvet, spiced marmalade, tumbled glass, and crushed olive for the inks for, these eggs and the stencils and everything. All in Distress ink, which is kind of fun. I like the mini cubes. That way you can just get like lots of inks in different colors. You save a little bit of money. Okay, now I'm pulling out the Buffalo Plaid stencil, and I'm going to use that on the blue. I'm going to tape those to the back of this stencil. And like I said, just willy-nilly taping them on. I'm not trying to really line them up or anything special. But, so I'll tape those on with that Post-it tape there, like I said, and I will blend on some of that Distress ink and tumbled glass. So, easy peasy stuff, nothing too fancy, like I said. There we go. But yeah, I kind of like the look. It kind of gave the eggs some definition. They're kind of a pastel-y, kind of distressed with white look. And I like that look for the patterns and everything on this card, but I kind of wanted the eggs to have something a little bit extra. A little extra. Anyway, so I'm just, getting these eggs all inked up. I'm just going to quickly clean off my Ranger, I think it's Tonic Studios glass mat by Tim Holtz. Little microfiber cloth, and some, hand sanitizer, and Bob's Your Uncle. So now I've got a piece of 8.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock, and I'm scoring it at 4 1/4. And then that gives me an A2 size card, right? 4.25 by 5.5 inches, but horizontal. And there we go. Now I've cut out 2 patterns from this paper. That's the Madame Royale from We Are Memory Keepers. And I cut them out using the Stitch Square die from Jaded Blossom. And I'm just going to kind of put them, you know, a little bit cockeyed on the paper. You know, one going one way, one going the other way. I kind of like that look. And now I'm going to add my green grass to the bottom. I'm going to hopefully add it nice and straight. I kind of just want to catch the bottoms of those squares a little bit. And I'm just going to add them. I'm sure you saw I'm using Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue to stick that down. There we go. So now that is my adorable little gnome. And he's the centerpiece of the card. And now I'm going to place all the eggs. You know, I love Jaded Blossom dies. I love all the stitching. I just think it's fabulous. So that's what I decided to do on this card. So I'm trying to not get any colors that are too similar beside each other, and, you know, have the grouping so your eye moves around the card. That's what I'm going for. You see, that's my egg with a bit of a boo-boo on it, right? That one side is kind of all screwed up there, but you won't notice it once I get the other eggs in place. There we go. I'm just trying to decide how I want this layout to look, because I had it all laid out in my head, but then of course it's changed. Like, it always changes as I'm creating. It happens every time I'm in the craft room. It's just one of those things. I can never stick to a design. I rarely come up with one and then do it exactly as I thought I was going to do it. There's always some mistakes in there, and, you know, I have to try and figure it out, and that's just the way it goes. But you have to go with the flow, and you can make it work. There's no point in throwing out a perfectly good card that you're making. You'll impress your friends. Trust me, they'll love it. Your family has to love it, right? They're family. So anyway, this is what we got going on here. So now I'm going to pop up my gnome, because he's kind of the centerpiece of this card. And I'm using 3M foam tape and Stampin' Up! Dimensionals like normal. Now, like I said, that cardstock from We Are Memory Keepers, that paper, what's it called? That paper line, sorry. I couldn't think of the word. The paper line is an oldie. So, you know, try and find some pattern papers and some pastels that match the gnome, and then you'll be in business. That's what I did. I kind of went through what I had, and sure enough, I had some pattern paper that matched. It was just some really pretty muted colors, and they went, and that's what you got to do. Now, if you were to, you know, stamp your own image and color it, you could color it whatever color you want, and then it will match your paper, whatever paper you want to use. So a lot of times when I'm coloring an image, I start with the paper, but when I'm using clip art, I start with the clip art and then work backwards from there, because it's hard to match, you know, it's hard to match pattern papers. So there we are. So I'm popping up all of my little eggs using the Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. Got my EK Success tweezers there, just kind of so my fingers can get out of the way. And like I said, adding some more dimensionals here. So this is like an easy peasy little card. But I really like how it turned out. It ended up really cute in the end. There we go. So I'm going to add that last little egg. Remember, odd numbers are your friend. There we are. So now I'm just trimming off the edges of that grass die that I had there. And then I'm looking at the bottom, that white bottom there. It's bugging me, but I'm thinking about it. So I'm pulling out my Spectrum Noir Clear Sparkle, and I'm going to add a little bit of clear sparkle to the ribbon on the gnome's hat. And as I've said in the past, when you're working with a piece of clip art, you kind of want to make it, you know, stand out a little bit more by using some, you know, you could use some highlighting, you could use some sparkle, use some glossy accents, any of those things. I'm trying to show you the sparkle. Trust me, it's very sparkly in real life. Now I'm using my Jelly Roll number 10s in white Sakura Jelly Roll pen, in a number 10. I'm just going to add some highlights here and there. I don't really follow the lighting per se, because, you know, I'm not that talented. I just kind of put it where I think it's going to look nice, you know. So I'm adding little highlights here and there. I'll add a few on the gnome too. Got to get his little hat in there. That's something that I love about these gnomes. They've got such cute little darn hats. I just love them. There we go. So I'm just adding a few little highlights and, you know, just going for, you know, a cute little whimsical look. Now I'm getting that word bubble dye out. I know. I keep adding things to this design. So that is cut out of Paper Inks white cardstock, and I'm using VersaFine Clair and Nocturne to stamp the sentiment. The sentiment says, you're a cool egg. And it's from the Excellent stamp set from Jaded Blossom. And I hope like heck that it's still in the store. It's an oldie. There are a lot of gnome sentiments you could use for this, you know. So if you want to recreate this card, don't get stuck on the you're a cool egg. But I just thought it was pretty cute. I couldn't help but use it. So I'm going to pop up this white little speech bubble on the card base with my Stampin' Up! Dimensionals, you know, like my normal. Got my little EK Success tweezers to hold them off to the side so I can see to make sure the sentiment is straight, because that drives me crazy. When things aren't straight, it just drives you bonkers. So I'm looking at this white line. I don't like it. So I cut out a 1/4 inch slice of pattern paper, the same line. And I used the line with the stripes. And I thought that'll look kind of cute. I'll cover that little white gap up. I thought I'd want to leave it on there like as a, you know, just as a look. But I just kind of didn't like it. So, and you know, you can change things. Like I said, nothing's written in stone in crafting. But I kind of liked it. Kind of looked pretty. So I got a little line there. So now I have pulled out shape sprinkles from Doodlebug. These are the ICU, the Eerie Eyes, and I think I also used Eye Candy. They're just, like I said, enamel accents that are like little eyeballs. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to add all these little eyes on the eggs, like peeking out. And I'm going to add one on the egg that he's holding. And it kind of reminds me, you know, when someone picks up a cat and they really don't want to be held, and they look at you and their eyes are big and they're like, put me down. That's kind of what I'm going for. So these are all like little eggs that are like cats that are like, please don't pick me up. Just leave me alone. They're kind of peeking out behind the eggs, hiding. Please don't let them lift me up kind of thing. And then I'm going to add some eyes on this big egg too. I just thought it was kind of cute. And I love these shape sprinkles from Doodlebug. The eyeballs are my favorite. I stocked up. And I have to say, I use them all the time, and I'm kind of running out. Like, I want them to release more eyeballs. And whenever they have them, I buy like 5 packages of each design, more if they only bring out one. So, you know, I just love having them in my stash. Like, I use Google Eyes too, but there's something about these eyes. They're just hilarious looking. You know, they're like, oh no, leave me alone. So now I've got the glossy accents out. This is before I add the big eyeballs. And I'm going to add some glossy accents to that daisy on his hat. And like I said before, you kind of want to add something to that piece of clip art. You want it to stand out from your card. You don't want it to look like just a flat piece of printed paper, right? And that's what I'm going for. And if you get any little bubbles, you know, use a needle, pop them. You don't want any bubbles in your finish. That kind of looks crappy. And there we go. So it's too cute. So now I've decided, I'm committed. I am adding the big eyeballs to that egg. I just can't help myself. It just looks adorable. Look how cute they are. I just love them. It just makes me laugh. And it's like he's picking them up saying, you're a cool egg. And he's like, no, I'm not. Put me down. Now I'm adding some Nouveau Crystal drops in Simply White. And, you know, like normal, I kind of straddle the image. I kind of sprinkle them around just to give it a little more texture. And because it's white, it doesn't really draw the eye too much. So, you know, it's not going to make it too busy. And I'm just going to add a few here and there. Like I said, in Simply White, it's kind of my favorite thing. And I just want to make sure that I have an odd number because that's kind of the sweet spot for that kind of stuff. And then that's about it. I'm all done. So kind of cute, eh? So I love Jaded Blossom, and I love these Dorky Prints N Doodles clip art. You know, I love the watercoloring on them. So stop by and see me next time for my next video. Thanks so much for stopping by, everybody. Bye.